A 7.5 magnitude earthquake with a depth of 25 kilometers has struck the Southern Highlands region.
I can assure our people in the Ella province and in the Southern Highlands province, Western province and of course Enga province, that we will be giving them our top priority in the coming weeks. Making sure.
This program is brought to you by Lightspeed, keeping you online all the time.
To just give you a brief on where we are with the relief efforts that are ongoing in the provinces of Southern Highlands, Ella, Western Province, and the other areas in Enga where the affected communities continue to be in need of assistance in terms of food, water, and medicine. These efforts are continuing as we speak. Firstly, let me give you a general background. As yesterday, our relief team headed by Dr. Bill Humblin stated to the media yesterday, tremors will continue to exist. It is anticipated over the next few days, but it will be in a decreasing rate of tremors will be experienced. This is quite normal. I want to appeal to our people not to read too much into all the rumors and gossip that's going on. This is the similar experience that has happened in many parts of the world where large earthquakes like this takes place. There are aftershocks that continue to happen. But these aftershocks will continue to decrease over time, and normalcy will return very, very soon. We are now in the process of delivering emergency supplies. Over the last few days, we've been working closely with the Australian government, with Exxon, with Oil Search, and Octedi in particular, in making sure that immediate assistance that has been required by the communities in those affected areas. Fortunately for us, Exxon and Oil Search and Octedi work in the immediate surrounding areas, and they have the capacity to mobilize quickly, so we have been using their efforts. And let me express our appreciation to these organizations. They have given us very strong support. We have been in communication on a daily basis with the Australian government, and the ongoing support that they are providing for us, especially the use of C-130, the largest military aircraft that is now operating within our country. We also, in our defense force and our own team have mobilized up to 5 helicopters who are now operating within the area. They are immediately bringing sick and those people who have been injured to hospitals on a regular basis. So they are going to very, very remote areas. This is remote areas where accessibility is very slow. Accessibility in some of the communities is non-existent. So I want to also thank our Defense Force team who have been there from day one, since Monday last week. Once the injured has been taken to the hospitals, we will now start bringing in some of the food supplies. We're already in dispatching many of them. In fact, some of the loads are starting to arrive in Moro and Mendi as we speak. But a larger number of quantities will be delivered tomorrow by the C-130 that will immediately bring food and water, because many of the river systems have been affected by mud and the debris that is going in there, making it undrinkable. So we have to bring in water in there. We are working closely with many of the donor agencies, and I want to thank in particular our friends in Australia, as I said, New Zealand. They are sending in supplies of medicine and food, which we are clearing immediately. Israel, China, Japan, many of these organizations and countries are working closely with our team, and they are in constant daily briefings so that we can coordinate our relief efforts in an organized manner. I want to thank many of our citizens, especially Papua New Guineans, who have gone out of their way in organizing relief efforts for our communities in these provinces. But please let us work through Dr. Bill Humblin and his team so that we can have an organized effort in making sure that the relief efforts that they are doing reaches the destination that is required. We are using the full facilities of our defense force and our district administration and the provincial administration. Our efforts on the ground are now being coordinated by the district development authorities in each district. And they are giving us reports which are now confirming the number of deaths and number of villages that are being affected, so that we can continue to roll out this assistance as they need it. So first and foremost, we are now moving food and water in there. Medicine's already been on the ground. Tari Hospital and Mendi hospitals are fully functional, and they are doing a great job. Those nurses and doctors on the ground attending to our people, and they're doing an excellent job. And we are working closely with them to bring in more medicines in there and more supplies as they need it as well. In terms of the road networks, we are, the Secretary for Works is here, as you know. He is a very comprehensive report now of all the areas where the roads have been affected, especially by road slips that are taking place. We have now mobilized much of it. You can travel now from Hagen to Mendi quite easily, Mendi to Nipa quite easily. We are now clearing the road between Nipa and Magarima, which will give us access into Tari. There are parts of Como and Koroba and Tari areas that are worst affected, but in some instances the light vehicles can easily travel, so they have been utilized to bring in the relief efforts. In Tabubil, the road is now open. The main road between Tabubil and the mine has been closed by a huge landslip that took place there. It has been cleared, and Oktedi is now trying to return back to normalcy very, very soon. In terms of communications, we are working closely with Digicel. In fact, Digicel, there have been 63 towers that have been affected. They've restored services to about 40 of them already. Another 17 or so is I'm told that some of them have collapsed, and as a result, some vandalism has taken place. I'm appealing to our people. This is a time for us to work together for the immediate needs of our people. These kind of actions do not help anyone. So let us try and restore communication, because it is vital. It will save lives. We may need to send help for bringing the injured out and bring food supplies and medical supplies into these areas. So I appeal to our people to help all these efforts that many of these organizations are doing as far as restoring services. We've had to deal with some landowner issues along some of the road slips again as well. This is a natural disaster. It is not created by someone where there is some compensation to be claimed. This kind of lazy mentality needs to stop. We are trying to bring in relief supplies to our people. I have told, we've directed defense, arrest those who are going to continue to be inconvenient to us. We want these roads to be open as quickly as possible, so that thousands of the communities that are being affected can continue to receive the supplies. I will be giving you a earthquake disaster restoration trust account, which has been managed by Secretary for Finance and his team at BSP. The account number is 701-298-5888. I repeat, 701-298-5888. All donations must go through this particular account. So again, we want to coordinate it. It will be audited properly. We want the monies to reach the communities that really deserve it. We don't want to waste any resources. And I know thousands of Papua New Guineans who are wanting to donate can donate it through there. All the government efforts have been directed through there. And I want to also announce today that government is now already transferred 1 million kina to the most affected districts, so that district administrators and CEOs who are on the ground will coordinate the immediate relief efforts. They need the resources and money to do so. So when we are putting in Tari, Koroba and Kopiago and Como and Magarima, Mendi and Nipa, the most affected areas, 2 million kina each for those. And the other districts like Imbongo, Kagua, Yalubu, Pangia, Kandep, Kikori, Laia Garment, Teleforming, and of course North Fly, we are putting 1 million kina each to each of these districts. So the district administrators can immediately use that money to intervene and making sure that we can make the lives of our people much easier. So those are the ongoing issues, and again, as I said, even our donor agencies, we are getting help from Australia, New Zealand, World Bank, JICA, Oil Sets, Exxon, China, Israel, ADB. They're bringing in supplies of power generation machines, generators. They're bringing in food, medicine supplies, and we are coordinated through our efforts, and this is a much better way of delivering. It is certainly a huge disaster for our communities, and let's try and all work together in delivering this to their expectations. So once again, thank you very much. Full reports of the road conditions and things, you can get it from Secretary for Works. For our relief efforts, Dr. Bill Hamblin is here 24 hours a day. We'll try and give you a daily briefing so that we have an appreciation of where we are all going, so that there is no misinformation out there. It doesn't do anyone any good. So Papua New Guinea should stop spreading information that is going to make things worse for our communities. We want to get the real information from the ground so that we can deliver the relief efforts a bit easier and more on a timely basis. As I said, the communication has been a huge hindrance, but we are, as of today, we are getting almost all the district reports from the CEOs today. We will have the accurate numbers of the number of deaths that has taken place, but we are told that over 30 has been confirmed that. But there are some of our people who have been unaccounted for. Those are the people that we need to confirm whether they are still with us or not. The issue about, and it's a great effort that, our people are putting food and clothes there, but sometimes the cost of transporting that to the location, is quite high. We will be providing some efforts to bring in a plane from Port Moresby to Moro and Tari. But, if they can donate in cash, it's easier because we can then procure the supplies from Hagen or the nearest cities and where it's available. So it's easier for us to transport and get it to our people quickly. But listen, talk through Dr. Bill Hamblin. He will coordinate it and get it stored and making sure that we transport it there. All these numbers will be made public, public advertisements will be made over the course of next few days, so that people can start donating the funds to those accounts. It'll cost hundreds of millions of kina, but it's not going to be spent in 1 year or 1 day. It'll take us 2 or 3 years to have the restoration program taking place, just as we experienced it in the Rabaul, where when the volcano erupted, we had to set up a restoration authority. Our Attorney General has already drafted a draft legislation already, which I am going through at the moment. Once that legislation is ready, we will go to Parliament, get it endorsed, we'll set it up so that it is specifically dedicated in restoring the infrastructure, particularly for schools and health centers and the roads that has been damaged. We would like to get it repaired. We are also working with our engineers, everybody. They're inspecting every bridge between Hagen and Tari and every section of the road. There are some areas where the bridges are intact, but there are cracks in the road. But this is a long-term effort that we'll need to mobilize and get it. Yes, we're trying to, as much as possible, trying to raise our money internally as much as possible. But as I said, we're getting some really good assistance from our donor partners. Like the World Bank has made 30 million available for these efforts. So it will be a combined effort. And Papua New Guinea is, as you know, we are quite a resilient society. I can assure you that we will get back on our feet. I've just got a report, in fact, just before I came. Power to Mendi will be on a Ramu grid by 8 p.m. tonight. By 8 p.m., most of the power along those lines have been restored. There are some power lines has fallen in some sections, particularly between Nipa and Tari, and some power supplies along the side of Imbongu and Yalubu and Pangia. But I am told that it will be restored to within the days. Yeah. They are mobilizing and under very difficult circumstances doing a great job. Airport in Tari has been cleared by NAC. We've sent in the inspector to inspect the condition of the airport. Again, power lines along the airport has fallen, the fences have fallen, but in fact, the power itself is the airport itself is in good condition. So we are now allowing planes to go back in there and land here. Well, it's unfortunate, but listen, we just have to make sure that the conditions are okay for them to reopen. The safety of the people around the project area is also equally important. I understand there's been extensive damage to the camp areas in Hides and also in Moro for all sets. They need to be rebuilt, so I think 8 weeks is not an unreasonable amount of time that it'll take to do so. But there has been quite a large movement of goods going up to both Tari and Southern Islands provinces through the Kikori road. That road is quite in good condition, so trucks been able to bring supplies into the area as expected. We are not here for publicity. We're here to work. We are working behind the scenes to making sure that relief efforts reach the people. That is our number one priority. I think people should refrain from getting themselves and politicizing this issue. Let's work together for the good of our people. And we are here, we are working behind the scenes with all our donor agencies, donor development partners. But I don't need to go to the press at every second time that I meet someone. I have to get down there and work. So that's what I'm doing precisely. We've had a comprehensive report from the provincial government through the governor's office from Gulf yesterday. We are now assessing where are the most remotest villages that need our top priority. Over the next few days, we'll be supplying especially water. The rivers in Kikori have been mud and debris has affected the drinking waters along the river system. All the fish stock and all the water has been polluted to a certain degree because of this debris. So what we are trying to do is bring drinking water immediately to those communities, but in the long term trying to mobilize a supply of TAFA tanks and water tanks so that we can put them in those communities who need it the most. I'm told that the debris will take up to 2 or 3 months to clear, and then of course normal for fish and all the other stock to return within that time. So the experts tell us this is a normal course. Water and all the other environment around the earthquake areas and disaster areas are affected as well.
Are you going up? Is there any...
I have been up there on the first day last week. I'm going up there on Wednesday. But we are, as I said, we've got people on the ground. We've got our national disaster and emergency team on the ground there. They've given us some report, but something that we are working through. And we've got our defense people are full-time on the ground. All the members of each key departments like works and health are going up there. We're trying to limit the number of usage of the choppers because of limitation. Because if we make a trip up there to go and have a look around, we are using up the time that we need to use this chopper to bring in the supply. So we're trying to give priority to that. And yes, I'll be up there on Wednesday. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the first priorities, as the Prime Minister said, are humanitarian. The infrastructure ones, we're trying to do some of them concurrently, like clearing roads to make them trafficable. That doesn't mean that we're going to make them back to where they were. We're going to make them trafficable to get these things going so we can get food and supplies and people from one part of the region to the other and get them assistance. Now, we've also, with humanitarian thing, we're looking at water, we're looking at food, and we're looking at shelter. And what we've done, as the Prime Minister said, we've contacted every CEO of every DDA in the District Development Authority in those affected areas, and we're getting a situation report and a needs analysis. The reason we're going Wednesday and not Tuesday is we're going to spend all day tomorrow going through those. They've all been people emailing them in and copying them, and we've got to collate it all and say to donors and for our own edification as well, how many tents we need, where we need those tents, etc., etc., etc. So we've got to add those up, look at the priorities, and then we've got to address them. We've already because we knew there was a problem, we already moved stuff, as the Prime Minister said, tomorrow there's 1 million, as we said yesterday at the meeting, there's 1 million kinas worth went in. As we speak, it's going in. There's C-130 tomorrow to get the rest of it. We'll be moving on to Mendy and maybe some stores there that we'll put up there in anticipation. We've got suppliers on notice. Most of them have given us, been very cooperative, and they get our thanks for that. That they've given us this stuff before we've even put in purchase orders for it. They've done it out of their, for the good of the nation. They've done it. So there'll be more of that going in the next couple of days. We've set up the account, as we've talked to you about. Money's going into that account, and we'll pay those bills. We've said that we're doing this in a lean way, that we're not going to have largesse things thrown everywhere. There'll be a purchase order for everything we buy. It'll be recorded. There'll be a monthly reconciliation of that account given to the Department of Finance. So they're immediate things we want to do, and we are working on. And I'm working with the Secretary for Defence and the Secretary for Roads, and we're making sure that we get onto those roads and make them trafficable as fast as possible. And the Secretary for Works can give you a full detail of all those roads. So it's a dual effort. We can't do one without the other effectively, because otherwise we end up using helicopter time all the time when we can send things by road. So it's a less costly way to do it. So they're the immediate needs and the things that will get our immediate attention. There's planes, as we speak, there's planes flying from Hagen into Morrow. Because we can't get the C-130 till tomorrow, because this is we've got to give them 24 hours notice to get it, so we've got to book it. So we booked it. It's ready for tomorrow. But today we didn't waste any time. We got Tropic Air and others, and we've flown supplies in today. I think there'll be 2 to 3 deliveries today. But because we got these supplies in containers, we've had to unpack them and repack them into these smaller aircraft. So I thank the Defence Force for that. They've been very busy with their guys packing it all and getting it on for the good of everybody. So that's where we are with that at the moment. And we've got, as I said, the DDA's coming in giving us requirements, and what we'll do is support them as quickly as possible.
So we're putting money directly to the districts. So today the funds have been transferred. We're expecting them to meet the short-term shortfalls in some of those communities, so they can use the local supplies to buy food or medicine or water.
A 7.5 magnitude earthquake with a depth of 25 kilometers has struck the Southern Highlands region.
I can assure our people in the Ella province and in the Southern Highlands province, Western province and of course Enga province, that we will be giving them our top priority in the coming weeks, making sure.
This program is brought to you by Lightspeed, keeping you online all the time.